Hello everyone, I am the horror hack John Mason. First and foremost, just wanted to say thank you so much for coming by and watching this video. I hope you give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button below at any time. Today I'm going to be reviewing the coming of age horror movie Between the Darkness, aka Come Said the Night. This movie stars Lou Temple from The Devil's Rejects and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Danielle Harris from the Rob Zombie Halloween movies, as well as a very talented up-and-coming actress that did a great job in this film, Nicole Moorea Sherman. Between the Darkness is written and directed by first-time feature film director Andres Rovira. He has also written, directed, and produced a number of short films. This movie was also an official selection for the Cinequest Film Festival in 2019. And with all that being said, let's get into the nitty-gritty. Between the Darkness starts out as a father, Roy Grady, his son Perseus, and daughter Sprout arrive at this house in this secluded sanctuary surrounded by a forest. Right away, we get this feeling of voyeurism as there's a POV shot from a crawl space underneath the house. Someone or something is observing them. We find out pretty quickly this isn't some ordinary family. They give off a cultish, hippie vibe, but we come to find out that they actually believe in Greek mythology. It's not like a Manson family creepy vibe, you just get the sense that something is a little odd about them. Even the way they speak is like something out of the 14th century. At one point, Sprout, Roy's 13-year-old daughter, says something like, "Am I daft, father?" Now, this is set in present day, so when I heard that, I was taken back a bit. I don't think I've heard the word daft since I played Judge Hawthorne in our high school production of The Crucible. Oh, and in case you're wondering, yeah, I killed that role. So the Gradys are at this sanctuary, as Roy calls it. Now, Roy's father actually built this sanctuary so that he and the family could have a place to worship in silence and be far away from the otherness, as he calls it. The otherness would just be the outside world with wicked people in it, you know, like you and I. So in this sanctuary, there's no television, no cell phones. The only music the kids get to hear crackles through an old radio. It might as well be a gramophone for how old the music is. And here is where the coming of age tale comes to be. Because of their belief in Greek mythology, Roy the father believes that everyone should have their own patron god to worship. Without giving too much away, Sprout, the 13-year-old daughter, was influenced to worship the goddess Aphrodite. According to Greek mythology, Aphrodite was the goddess of love, beauty, and sexuality. Well, worshiping Aphrodite was a huge sin in Roy's book because he saw Aphrodite representing sex and lust, and no way was his 13-year-old girl going to be worshiping that. And it's around this time where Sprout begins to wrestle with her urges to be more sexual. Meanwhile, Roy is getting progressively more aggravated trying to suppress and push his religion on not only Sprout, but his son Perseus. And just how bad does it get for Roy? Well, one night he actually ends up stripping down naked and howling at the moon. Oh, and if you think that's where he hits rock bottom, it isn't. After witnessing a horrid act by her father and physically being tied up at one point, Percy must be strong and figure out a way to escape it all. And how will this all end? Well, I'm not going to spoil it for you, you're just going to have to watch. Now that we've gone through some of the plot of Between the Darkness, let's get into what I liked about the film. The first thing that comes to mind is the acting, especially from Lou Temple, who played the father Roy. Roy's slow descent into madness throughout the film was magnificent. He definitely looked the part, but what I found most impressive about his character is how he could be feared but admired by his children at the same time, and how he could be bone-chilling scary by just being very calm and never having to raise his voice. But let's not forget about Nicole Moorea Sherman, who played Sprout. Her performance in this movie was wonderful. I think we're gonna see this young lady in more features to come. Her role as a suppressed but curious teen was spot on. The entire film, you were rooting for her to have a breakthrough. I was also intrigued by how much Roy sheltered his children from the otherness or the outside world for so long. I wondered, where were they all before they came to the sanctuary? We did come to find out that Roy homeschooled the kids, but does that mean he just cooped them up inside the house all day long? Now that could be another film entirely, maybe even a prequel. So those were some of my likes from the film. Now let's talk about what I think needs some work. I find that although there was plenty of tension in the film, I just didn't get that spine-tingling horror vibe that I wanted from it. Most of the film, the family is just out in the sanctuary hanging out. We find out there's a demon or a Gorgon haunting the family, but nothing really comes to fruition with it. I feel like if they would have fleshed that out a little bit more, this film could have been more terrifying. I feel like the whole skeleton of the film was there, but I just wanted more guts. No puns intended. I just wanted to see more events happening to the family as they were out there secluded in the sanctuary. My final thoughts on this film are, this is a decent psychological horror film that left me with a message. And it's always a good sign when I continue to think after a film has ended. And that message is this: if you suppress someone's natural humanistic feelings and stifle them from free thought, and keep them extremely sheltered from how the world really is, there will be consequences, and it will most likely lead them to rebel, as well as it should. Don't force thought or cage someone, but protect, inform, and allow them to feel how they want, naturally. And with that, we're done. Starting on August 20th, you can check out Between the Darkness from Dark Coast on a number of streaming platforms. I'll make sure to list out all the platforms you can watch Between the Darkness on in the description below. Make sure and tell me what you thought about this video in the comments below, and I hope you give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And let's be friends, everyone. You know you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at The Horror Hack. I am The Horror Hack, and this has been one hack of a show.